The other thing I think we have to consider is potentially the implication for the faith community. And I think maybe this bears a little bit of explanation, is Christians do believe in spiritual transformation. Christians believe that we are all sinners. We all equally fall short of the glory of God. But because of what Christ did on the cross, we've been given a new heart, and we've been given a spirit that transforms us. And so Christians believe that across the board, and they practice that in their faith. And there are books, there are conferences, there are areas where there could be a transaction involved, but are legitimate practices of a faith.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, good morning. My name is Kevin Snider with Pacific Justice Institute Center for Public Policy, where I serve as Chief Counsel. I address briefly the legal discussion in the bill's analysis. This bill differs significantly from the law banning sexual orientation change efforts, or SOCH, for those under 18. Two cases challenged that law under free speech and free exercise of religion. In Pickup v. Brown and Welch v. Brown, the court held that a prohibition on SOCH for persons under 18 survived these challenges because the law was narrowly focused on a regulation of professional conduct. But the Ninth Circuit found that even licensed professionals could communicate with the public about SOCH. In contrast, this bill prohibits SOCH advertisements by all persons. Further, the court found that licensed professionals could continue to recommend SOCH to patients and could administer SOCH to adults and refer minors to unlicensed counselors or religious leaders. Yet under this bill, all of those First Amendment rights are swept away. AB 2943 is not a regulation of professional conduct. It appears under the consumer fraud statutes rather than the Business and Professions Code. Unlike the previous law, this bill stretches far beyond licensed mental health professionals. It reaches religious ministries engaged in SOCH if there is an exchange of money, for example, paying for a religious retreat, a workbook, or a seminar. I direct your attention to what this looks like in another state. 2 months ago, a church put on a seminar that dealt with this very issue. This happened in Michigan. 5 state lawmakers urged the Attorney General to investigate and file an injunction against the church for violating the Michigan Consumer Protections Act. Mr. Chairman, I urge that the members of this body cast a no vote, and I thank you for your deliberation and for your service to the community.
You know, the language of the bill, I'd like to work on certainly tightening that to make sure it doesn't infringe upon legitimate practices of our faith. And not just Christian faith, but Muslims, people of many different faiths have beliefs that we in this body may not share, a majority in this body may not share, but do we want to start down a path? I know I have a colleague who says I hate slippery slope arguments, but there's a reason why we've coined the phrase slippery slope arguments, because once you start down a path, other things could come up.